Hey everybody, so on today's video we're out in the cornfield and I'm gonna show you how you appraise your corn using the weight method. So we'll get to it. Alright, so you're like, oh, how do I appraise my corn? You know, do I count the kernels around, how long they are, all that good stuff? Well, I mean, you can do that method, and that'll tell you what that ear is going to yield, and if your whole field is like that, then okay, that'd be accurate. But a more accurate way is to use the weight method. So to do that, first thing you need is some type of tape. And you need to know how wide your rows are, because what we're going to do on this one, we're going to do 1/1000 of an acre. So these are 30-inch rows, and to get 1/1000 of an acre on a 30-inch row, then you need to go 17.4 feet. So we'll do that. All right, so we measured that off, and then all you do for the next step is then you need to pull all of the ears from those plants, and we'll throw them in the bucket like so. And we'll measure it. So I'll get that pulled off, and then I'll be back here. All right, so I got the bucket, the corn in the bucket here, and I didn't just randomly pick the best spot in the field. And actually, this may be one of the poorer spots. And so if you really want to know what your field's going to do, obviously you're going to need to take more than one of these samples, and they need to represent what the field actually looks like. You know, so if you take your samples from only the good spots, only where it looks great, well, you're not going to have an accurate appraisal. So you want where you're taking your samples from to actually truly reflect that field. So, you know, if 25% of the field looks like a certain thing, and so on and so forth, well, you're going to want to take those counts that in those areas and do these samples that represent that percentage of what that field looks like. The other thing, when you've got your tape and you've got 1/1000 of an acre, then you can get your population pretty easy too. So on this one, and I'm hoping Dad was dialing in a little bit, because this does look way thick. So there was 38 plants in that 17.4 feet. So it's 1/1000 of an acre. That's pretty easy math. Planted at 38,000. Honestly, I'd like to see 28 to 30 at the most for our area. So a little tweaking on the planter next year. This was also a field that got kind of forgotten. So we've been set up for beans and then put it back to corn quick just to do this one. Or he might have used the backup planter, which was an old 7008 row that he took 2 of the rows off. I can't remember what he did actually on this one. So yeah, you can check your population just as easy at the same time. So the next step, I like to do where we're actually weighing and moisture testing. I usually do that in the back of the pickup or back of a side-by-side. So we'll go there. All right, so we're on the tailgate of the pickup now, and we've got our bucket that we took. And what I use to get the weight is just a fish scale. This one happens to be from Cabela's, but it'll any fish scale will really do. And don't forget to take into account the weight of your bucket. So you can either weigh one empty and hit the tare, or if you've done this enough times, you know what it is. And I just do the math in my head. So weigh it. So we got 12.5 pounds there. All right, now what we're gonna do is we need 5 pounds because we've still got the cob in here, right? So we're gonna do a shelling factor. See how close I can guess it. Still too much. There we go. Okay, so I've got 5 pounds worth of corn cobs in there. But I just want to account for the seed, right? Now I have a hand corn sheller that I like to use. Now, can you shell it by hand? Yeah, you can, but it tears your hands way up. And we won't need the cobs, but we'll need to weigh the kernels after that. So I'll finish doing. Ooh, there's one. So there's what happens when you have bad pollination. So I got one in there. Little heat or something happened there. But I'll get the rest of this shelled and then we'll weigh it and see what's going on. All right, so I've got it all shelled out in 4 pounds. So we started with 5 pounds. We shelled the corn down and now we have 4 pounds in there. So that factor is actually a 1, which means there's not really a factor. And it's amazing how many times, I mean, it usually comes out to that more often than not. So now that we've got that 4 pounds there, now we'll do a moisture test on it. You know, because then we've got a varied amount of kernels that we chose from. So that should give us a better overall moisture for this particular sample. And I've got a Dickie John handheld one here. Hit there. I got it set for corn. $15.8 is what that one came out. So not terrible. This was 17 a week or so ago. And we've had about a ½ inch of rain this week. And that's why one of the reasons I'm out here is because I was curious what that had done to the moisture. So, yeah, that's fine. That can go to town. Where'd my pen go? So, because let's figure out then what we have for a yield on this sample. So I had 12.5, and then we take that times 14.3, which is your factor for corn, and it was 15.8 moisture, right? Okay, so 12.5 times 14.3, that gives us 178.75 bushel. But we've got to apply the moisture factor yet. And I always use the Federal moisture factor. Different elevators may dock at different rates. You know, it all depends. So that's why I use the Federal one, because then we got a standard one that I'm going by. 15.8 would be a factor of 0.9904. So times that, 0.9904 for a dry down yield of 177.034, blah, blah, blah. 177 bushel. It's not too bad. You know, that'll work. A little bit of drowned out here and there, but overall, you know, Dad's corn was pretty good. Mine, on the other hand, when, you know, half of it drowns out, it's kind of hard to have a good yield. But there you go. Now you know how to appraise your corn. So if you're questioning or wondering what you got, by all means, don't just do one sample and think, oh, well, that's what my whole field's going to do. Obviously, you need to take more than one sample. As you notice, I was not on the end rows either. Get into the corn and what the actual field's doing. So there you go. There's today's video. As always, take care, and hey, thanks for watching.